Actually, I was worried you'd say Beetlejuice 3 times. Because if you say Beetlejuice 3 times, then that was a close call.
Beetlejuice,
Hey,
what's up?
snap nut!
What'd you call me?
Snap nut!
You know who you're talking to?
Yeah, you, snap nut!
Sometimes names are simply scary to utter. Beetlejuice, Bloody Mary, Voldemort, Yahweh, Slapnuts. With figures like these, we've been clever about beating around the bush so we don't have to say the name itself. Yahweh is also called Adonai and Hashem, and Voldemort is he who must not be named. Okay, maybe J.K. Rowling isn't so clever about it. These are examples of what's called taboo deformation, where it's socially inappropriate to use something's name, whether out of respect or fear, so you gotta dance around it and totally re-describe it in order to know what you're talking about. This has been going on for thousands of years, and we can see a good example of how geography, spiritual beliefs, and language all line up in the name of bears. Around 5,000 years ago, a group of steppe nomads from the Ukrainian and Russian plains spread out into Europe, Iran, and India. These were the proto-indo-europeans, and many of the languages of these areas all branched out from their original language. The Indo-European word for bear was something like **********, and in many of the descendant languages we can see similar sounding words for bear. The Greek word was *******, the Latin word was ursos, and the Sanskrit word was ******. But then we have the Germanic, Baltic, and Slavic language families, where they use the words bear, lacis, and medved. Those are nothing like the word Now, you may notice that these 3 language families are the most northerly of the bunch, so they're the ones who actually gotta watch out for bears. These northern societies would have been deathly afraid of bears. I could face a hungry bear with a rocket launcher, and I'd still piss myself. Imagine only having a spear. So like Beetlejuice, Voldemort, or Yahweh, you wouldn't want to say bear out of fear that it could summon one. If one were nearby, they could hear you. I mean, don't your ears perk up when you think you hear your name in a conversation? Now imagine if you heard your name said by a bunch of toasty chicken nuggets.
NANI?!
But if these northerly people didn't want to use the bear's regular proto-indo-european name, then what did they call it? What do bear, lacis, and medved actually mean? The Slavic language branch widely adopted the epithet honey eaters, which is adorable, but Winnie the Pooh is goddamned ferocious. Watch out. The Latvians call bears lacis, which with the rest of the Baltic languages might either mean they'd be calling a bear shaggy or stomper. And I love both of those. Look at this shaggy dude. And the Germanic terms bear, bear, and björn all probably relate back to the Proto-Indo-European term for brown, so bears would be brown ones. That means that if you get real unlucky while hiking around in Alaska, you'll be mauled to death by a brown one. Also, the brown bear's scientific name is Ursus arctos, which is bear. Old English and Old Norse also created more terms as poetic kennings. One of the most famous ones is Beowulf, which translates to Beowulf, which would be a bear. So next time I'm in the middle of a pitched battle, I'm gonna go total druid on their asses, and I'll win the battle single-handedly, all while using my inside voice. I found this topic when I was researching religions, and I thought this would be an interesting superstition to talk about on its own, because these northerners lived in a place full of bears, so the terms they used were different than those used in the south. And I can't bear keeping all this to myself. Wait, I've been saying bear a lot, and shouldn't I have, like, some sort of kind of epithet? Bear! Its claws! It's
Question. What kind of bear is best?
That's a ridiculous question.
False. Black bear.
Well, that's debatable. There are basically two schools of thought.
Fact. Bears eat beets.
Oh.
Bears. Beets. Battlestar Galactica.
Bears do not. What is going on? What are you doing?